Hello, my name is David Jones from the team here at Ilion. Over the past 4 years, Ilion has produced a series of reports on credit cards. It's my very great pleasure to introduce someone who's been at the heart of all that work, Michael Landgraf from the Data Analytics and Insights team. Hello, Michael.
Hello, David. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
That's good.
So you've been looking at credit cards over this long period of time. You've got this lovely benchmark of 4 years. What have you been particularly interested in?
Yeah, so we've been doing Credit Card Nation, which is the project that you're referring to now for 4 years, since late 2018. And we've looked at a number of insights on the credit card portfolio over those years. But the one consistent thread that we found with each of those reports was the flight away from the credit card by Australia's population. We found that the flight away has been at the rate of 2 cards to every one card that's open, and during COVID times, it actually got as bad as 5 cards being closed for every one opened. So what we thought was we would do our 4th generation of Credit Card Nation as a means of seeing whether that was continuing or whether in fact that had started to improve.
Okay, and what have you found in this latest report, Michael?
Okay, so in this latest report, and it's probably worthwhile just referring to this diagram very, very quickly here, what we found is that there is actually the beginnings of a flight back to the credit card product. Whereas in the earlier period here, so in pre-COVID, during COVID, and even post the initial lockdown, there was a significant flight away from the card, which I just talked to. Since about the middle of last year, we have seen an improvement where overall there's still a flight away, but that flight away from the card is now much, much lower than it was then. So as I said, at its peak or at its worst, people were closing 5 accounts, 5 credit cards for every one that was opened. Now we're looking at more like 1.4 cards being closed for every one. So when it's not perfect yet, we're not getting the true growth yet, but at least that flight away, that bleeding, I guess, from the product is reducing.
And why were they walking away, Michael, do you think?
So a lot of Australians were walking away to reduce their exposure overall. So if you think about the credit card product, when you want to take out a new credit facility, the fact that you hold a credit card can actually work against you in terms of your serviceability requirement. So people had in general looked to close their cards so that it enabled them to more easily take on other credit facilities. We found that 4 in 5 consumers who closed their credit card did not initially open another credit facility.
Gosh, that high.
And that was the reason, yeah. Of the remainder, we actually found, however, that 16% of those people that moved away from the credit card actually opened a new credit facility with a different lender. So there was this attrition issue as well. And in a fair proportion of cases, in fact, in 50% of cases, people actually opened a home loan with the other organisation.
Okay.
So we found that there was actually an issue for the existing lender, not just in terms of losing the card income stream, but also potentially in much higher value income streams from the home loan as well.
Fascinating. And who was most affected, Michael?
Yeah, so the people that were most likely to walk away were actually what I'll call working class Australia, and also those in the mortgage belt of Australia. So we're talking about the outer suburbs of Sydney, Melbourne, in fact, of each of the capital cities. So for people who know Sydney, it was really the outer west, the outer southwest. For Melbourne, it was the outer north, the outer west, and the outer southeast. We also found that in what I'll call some of the major regional centres, and also again in the working class parts of those regional centres, that people moved away. So the outer suburbs, let's say, of Newcastle and off Geelong.
Yeah.
And what we found was that because it was working class Australia, these are the ones, the consumers that are most likely to be revolvers. They're most likely to be the consumers that are going to be interest income earners for the banks, and they've moved away to be able to get home loans more easily, and also to get cheaper credit, or what was originally cheaper credit in the form of BNPL facilities.
Yeah. So you've sort of touched on this, Michael, but my last question is, what does it really mean for bankers and lenders?
So with this flight, or at least this initial flight back to the credit card, especially by the young demographic in Australia, it's very important that lenders look to design their credit card product going forward so that they can actually take advantage of that initial flight back. There's an opportunity here, and they'll want to reap the rewards from actually maximizing that opportunity. To be able to get those younger cohort, they will need to price their product differently from the way they did before. They'll need to price it more closely or more aligned to a BNPL product, lower interest rates or no interest rates, lower fees, etc. But what that also means is, because they're possibly going to write more risk, they need to be able to price for that risk. So rate for risk pricing or risk-based pricing might become more important in the credit card sector. So that's on the one tier that lenders need to be aware of to price their product effectively. For them to be able to implement things like risk-based pricing, information is going to be vital. So information that they store internally on their consumers, but also that's available externally. So looking at how these consumers perform on their other credit facilities, looking at their spending patterns, looking to see whether that lender is actually the primary or secondary lender to that person is going to be very, very important. So, and that's where really both, as I said, internal data and organizations like Ilion, so credit bureau providers, and also spend analytics providers can actually help their customers.
Wonderful. Michael Landgraf, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for your insights today.